Salam and hello and welcome to another episode of Silly Points Cricket. My name is Faizan Hamdani. I'm joined here with my friend Taufeeq Miam. And we're just going to dive right into this. We just got the news. Mohammad Hafeez has finally decided to retire at the age of 42 or 43, 42 or 43, regardless, very, very old age. And he will no longer be participating in international cricket, although he will be continuing on T20 domestic cricket. But it is international cricket that he's gone. Taufeeq, is that shocking?
No, it was expected to come soon. It was kind of counting down the days a little bit, right? When is it going to come? I remember the World Cup before last, we were talking about his man, Shoaib Malik, and Hafeez need to retire. But credit to them. They've been playing well, honestly, here recently. And it was maybe due to lack of an alternative or maybe a little bit of grooming of the younger all-rounders that they stuck around. So kudos to them for that. But going on a high note, relatively, I guess.
Yeah, he I think has really found his own in the last 6 years. I want to say 6-7 years, around 2015. Right. He really reinvented himself. So I think now it's just a matter of, I think Hafeez doesn't see the future for where he stands in this team. I think with the T20 World Cup in Australia and future tours, there's Australia's visiting Pakistan. I just don't think he saw himself getting too much game time. And with the emergence of a few batsmen coming through and Fawad Alam sort of taking the reins, I think the time is right for him to leave. But still, if you had to, how do you remember Hafeez?
Oh, man. Honestly, we had this debate with one of our really good friends, right? And I had mixed feelings. For me, I don't recall any major performances. I always thought of him as an average player that was in the team for a very good reason, because there was a lack of an alternative for the longest time.
Right.
And so that's why I actually dug deeper into the stats a little bit, and I looked at it. Over 12,500 runs and 250 wickets for Pakistan across formats in 392 games. Now, my intuition was right. The performances were average. When you look at his batting average, test match 38, ODIs 33, 26 in T20s. And then the bowling was not great either, 34, 39, 23 respectively for those three formats. But you dive a little deeper, right? And you notice that this man has 32 Man of the Match awards. That is a significant number. And when you put it in perspective with some of our other greats, he's the fourth highest amongst Pakistani players. The other higher ones were Shahid Afridi, Wasim Akram, and Inzamam ul Haq. Now, let's take it one step further. If you look at the Man of the Series that he's received 9 of those awards. And he's the fourth highest, again, amongst Pakistani players. The first one being Imran Khan, second one being Wasim Akram, and third one being Waqar Younis. So he's in the top 4 among some of the best legends that our Pakistani cricket nation has created.
Yeah, those are some pro stats for him. But I feel like, he's played in a time where we have severely lacked good batsmen, right? Yeah. He started in 2003, so he sort of played with Inzamam, Muhammad Yusuf, Yunus Khan, Misbah. But I think once Inzamam retired, it was basically Yunus Khan, Misbah, and Hafeez who were sort of the senior batsmen. And Azhar Ali and Asad Shafiq came in, and I think I bet you most of his Man of the Match performances were due to his all-round contribution rather than his batting.
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of series gone by and tournaments where he has, he hasn't delivered big with the bat, right? He's always averaged 25, 30 runs on every series. Sort of changed around, in that 2017 Champions Trophy.
Right.
And then he had an okay previous World Cup that went by. But no, those are interesting stats to hear. I'm just surprised by how much influence. I didn't actually know that. But in terms of, do you think this is a blow now to Pakistan, or is it we can recover? We're not even recover. Will this just be something that we'll naturally move on from?
I think we will naturally move on. I think the timing is good. I don't know if it was Ramiz Raja that kind of pushed him a little bit over the fence. In his interview, he said no. But Ramiz Raja has been quoted as saying Shoaib Malik and Hafeez, you guys need to leave on a high note. Now, what that really means is, was the T20 World Cup a high note for them or not? Right. But, I mean, it is time, right? And in terms of moving on, you've got Shadab Khan, you've got Muhammad Nawaz, you've got Ifti, so nifty. I mean, these guys are all kind of knock on the door, and Iftikhar kind of feels or seems a little old, but I don't know what his passport really says on the age front. But I mean, there are a lot of young guns there, and like I mentioned, right, there was a time for Hafeez where he served the country, and kudos to him for that. He should take a lot of pride in that, and he performed really well, or to the best of his ability. I mean, actually, there was one other stat I came across was he's got the record for the most consecutive matches for Pakistan, 136 games from 2010 to 2013.
Which format?
All formats. So 136 games straight.
Without missing a game?
Without missing a game, and that's the highest for Pakistan.
Wait, 2006 to 2010?
2010 to 2013.
Oh, that's...
So,
he was
I mean,
a mainstay, yeah.
That again shows that Pakistan needed him, and he delivered for his country. Whether they needed him because they didn't have any other alternative, which is what I was alluding to. I think that's what I felt like.
Yeah, let's look at the openers that he's played with. Since 2003, let's list them off. Who can we think of? Salman Butt, Kamran Akmal, Taufeeq Umar, Imran Farhat, Ahmed Shahzad, Azhar Ali,
Yasser Hamid.
Yasser Hamid. Who else would have been in that bracket of, Shan Masood, right? But like no one who you can say, maybe apart from Salman Butt, but he messed up his own career. But nobody in that group that you can say, okay, like, that person could have had a better career than Hafeez. Right. So there is definitely a sign of, okay, yeah, Hafeez just got there because he was the best of the bad bunch. He's not a bad batsman.
No, he's not.
But he only averages 32 in ODI, 37 in Test. He's not a bad batsman, but his bowling helped him. And then I remember he was deadly in Subcontinent and UAE with his, his carom balls and the balls.
And we didn't mention it. Imad Wasim is another one. I think this might actually, especially if Shoaib Malik also retires after this, this might give a little bit of room for Imad Wasim to come back into the squad as well. So there is that, because Hafeez, I remember, had a role of doing that opening bowling for a while, right? And then he moved on. I mean, again, another testament to how he has been able to stay in the team despite being suspended for his bowling action 3 times.
3 times.
So he's been coming in as a batsman as well, right? Again, for the lack of a better alternative or not, I don't know. I can't really say, but he's served his nation well.
Yeah, but serving the nation well, I think, we have to bring up the fact that I had great respect for him when he stood up and said he didn't want to play with Muhammad Amir, Muhammad Asif, whoever else, That was a interesting moment because I think at the selectors at the time, whoever it may have been, had said to him, you play or don't, they're going to play.
Yep.
And I respect Hafeez for that because there's not a lot of honest men in the world, much less so in Pakistan.
Right.
And, he stood up. So you could tell he's a patriotic guy. He always gave his 100% for Pakistan. Right. So you got to give him respect in that front, right?
Right. And you can argue that, and this is me not necessarily arguing that people should get second chances. Muhammad Amir was really young or anything like that. But what I do give kudos to Hafeez for is that when he was asked in his last press conference when he was retiring, was what was his worst moment in cricket. People will always say, oh, that World Cup drop catch or that World Cup loss. And what he actually mentioned was exactly what you just said.
Oh, he did?
He said that the worst moment for him was when he was told that either he plays along with Muhammad Amir or he can leave and take the door. And so he again decided to...
And he was right. In hindsight, Muhammad Amir turned his back on Pakistan cricket again. Yep. And, so I hope he stays on as a coaching impact of some sort. Mentor to these guys. Abdullah Shafiq and whoever else will definitely need it. But yeah, I think I agree. Pakistan cricket's not going to be too affected by this. He doesn't play a lead role with the batting anymore, and he doesn't bowl as much either. So I think the time is right. I don't think he would have got picked for Australia. I don't think Malik's going to get picked off for Australia.
Yeah, both of their records are kind of fairly poor. And by today's standards, man, the standards are so high for batsmen that the 30 average just doesn't cut it anymore.
Yeah, and Malik can't play bounce. Hafeez can't play bounce. Right. So I think he's going to go. But, I think, he's a proper guy. He's a good dude. And I think Pakistan will miss him in some ways, but the time was right. I think it would have been nice for him to sign off on a tournament with a win. But he's part of the 2017 Champions Trophy. What was your greatest memory of him as a player? Was it that?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned, I don't remember any in particular, and that's not to offend him or anything like that. I'm sure he's had phenomenal innings, but my memory just doesn't serve me as well as others, and I'll leave it at that. But what about for you?
It's hard to look past that Champions Trophy final because he
did play well in that game.
He sort of made it the total beyond India's reach, right?
Right.
That he came
50 odd runs, right? But at a high pace.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, in that game, do you know who doesn't get remembered for playing a pretty good innings? Babar Azam.
Right.
He scored 49 in that game, if I remember correctly.
The only person I remember from that game is Fakhar Zaman.
I mean, he
stole the no ball, right?
Right. He stole the show, the no ball, and Azhar Ali also got 60 something, I think 57 or 60 runs. But Babar Azam also played very well in that game. Yeah. Hafeez played faster, but Babar Azam played too. Anyways, I digress. I was looking up the highlights of that game recently. I was like, oh, Babar Azam scored 49. Yeah. I don't remember that, right? But my greatest other memory of Hafeez was, do you remember that game where Hafeez missed a ball in the boundary and Afridi's swearing at it? He's like, Hafeez! I don't know. It's very famous on YouTube.
Picked up on the stump mics?
Up on the stump mics. Afridi was cursing him out. Hafeez! But
the professor, we haven't mentioned that.
The professor, the self-proclaimed, I'm great at all formats. Yeah. But you know what? There was nothing that he was poor at. So I think we'll probably remember him for being jack of all trades, master of none. I think that is Hafeez in a nutshell, right? Served his country well, played his part, did the best thing. He was also took full advantage of the situation around him, but other players had that opportunity. They didn't take
it. They haven't availed it.
And he did, right?
Right.
So we'll leave it at that. Hafeez, who do you think should replace him?
Oh, man. It depends who you consider already in the squad alongside him. If you say Shadab is alongside him, Iftikhar is alongside him, I think Mohammad Nawaz can come in. Imad Wasim can come in. I think those four all-rounders have room to grow. I mean, Fawad Alam, you mentioned, not necessarily an all-rounder, but a middle-order batsman. But in the tests, you can see him come in. I think I'd leave it at that.
Okay. So there you have it, guys. Mohammad Hafeez is no longer going to represent Pakistan in T20 internationals or ODIs. I think he retired from Test a while ago.
Yep.
But he will be representing Lahore Qalandars in the upcoming PSL. That is my team, led by Shaheen Shah Afridi. So that will be interesting. So you can catch him there. He also played in the recently concluded LPL. But my message to Mohammad Hafeez is thank you for the memories. And we hope, you enjoy your retirement, and maybe we'll see you in the commentary box. But for now, thank you guys. Please subscribe and like the video. We'll be releasing more in a few weeks. Thank you.